Hello students, today we will study chapter number 2, The Listeners. It is a poem which is written by Walter de la Mare. It is a little bit horror story or horror poem we can say. Let's start. Is there anybody there? Said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence charmed the grasses of the forest ferny floor. Here there is a traveller, you can see in the picture. He has come to meet a person to whom he has promised once that he will come to visit him. So he has come to that man's place, and he is knocking on that moonlit door. Here is the moonlight on the door. He is knocking on the door like that and asking, is there anybody inside? When he is knocking on the door, his horse chammed the grass. Chammed means eating noisily, eating while making noise. So his horse chammed the grass. His horse is chewing the grass of the forest ferny floor. Where is the grass? On the forest ferny floor. Ferny means little leaves, choti choti pattiyan. And a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head. When he is knocking on the door, suddenly a bird flew out of the turret. It comes out above the head of the traveller. Above the head of the traveller. And he smote upon the door again a second time. Smote means that same knocking. He again knocking on the moonlit door, and again he is asking the same question. Is there anybody there? He said. But no one descended to the traveller, but no one replied. There was no reply to the traveller that is there anybody inside? No one was replying. No hate from the leaf-fringed sill. No one is replying. No one is paying attention to his calls. Leaned over and looked into his grey eyes. When he got no reply, he leaned over. Means he started looking up and into his grey eyes in a confusing manner, where he stood perplexed and still. Perplexed means confused. When he is standing confused whether to leave or whether to stay there. Like he is thinking that if I'll go from here, if the person will open the door, and if I'll stay there, and if nobody will open the door, then what happened? What will happen? But only a host of phantom listeners. Who is listening his voice? Only the phantoms. Only the phantoms are listening his voice. Phantom means ghost. That dwelt in the lone house then. Because the phantoms, the ghosts are living in that house. Dwelt means to live somewhere. The ghosts are living in that lone house. Us band ghar mein. Stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight. He is standing over there in the moonlight to that voice from the word of man. Who is listening the voice? The man who is listening in the moonlight. His voice is being listened by the ghost only. The voice from the world of man. World of man means human or alive or living. From the world of man, इंसानों की दुनिया से आवाज आ रही. Stood thronging in the faint moonbeams on the dark stair. He is standing over there only, where the moonbeams are falling. That goes down to the empty hall. The stairs that goes down to the empty hall. Hearkening in an air stirred and shaken. Where the air is still. That on that place, his cry is being heard by the lonely traveller's call. Who is calling? The lonely traveller. And he felt in his heart their strangeness. Their strangeness of the house. He is feeling in his heart. Their stillness answering his cry. Stillness means the calm. The silence of the house is listening his cry, his voice. While his horse moved cropping the grass turf, again his horse started to eat the grass. Cropping means again grazing grass. Neath the starred and leafy sky, where his horse is eating the grass, beneath the sky, beneath the starry sky. For he suddenly smote on the door. Again he started smoting on the door like that. louder and lifted his head. This time he smote louder and he lifted his head. And what he said? Tell them I came. He said, tell them that I came. And no one answered. That I kept my word. He said that I kept my word. Here my word means promise. That I kept my word means promise. That I kept my promise. Tell them. Now turn the page. Never the least stir maddened listeners. Though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house, from the one man left awake. Only one man left awake at that house, that was the traveler, and whatever he spoke there, spake means spoke, whatever he spoke there, was he speaking there, was only being listened by the ghost and was echoing in that house, Hey, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. What is being said here? They are saying that they heard his foot upon the stirrup. Stirrup means when he was going, the noise made up by his foot were being listened by the ghost. And the sound of iron on stones, when there is a horse, on the foot of the horse there is a iron rod like that is called naal in Hindi. That is iron rod which is making sound on the stone when the horse is walking. And how the silence surged softly backward. Now again whatever the silence was there in that house is surged, is swelled, again it came back softly backward, it came back again. Again the house was fully silent. When the plunging hoofs were gone, when the plunging hoofs means the making sound, the sounded foots of the horse were gone. That time again the silence was there. Now the explanation. It is the same as the poem. The poem starts as a horseman comes to visit a person he has once promised. Actually it was the promise made by the horseman to come to visit the person. But when he reached there, the mansion was deserted. No one was there. Only the bird and the ghost were living. When he cried so many times, but his repeated inquiries were unanswered. So he was feeling confused. He was feeling really confused that if there is anyone or not. Should I stay here or not? So here, how the poet is creating the horror scene. The poet creates a strange, airy atmosphere by the use of likely words. He has used such kind of words which are showing the loneliness of the house. The turret suggests a medieval mansion. The turret suggests कि मध्यकालीन middle age time का turret है. Starry nights adds up to the atmosphere. Starry nights, see, look at the picture. Lots of stars are there in the sky, so it adds up to the atmosphere. And look at the tree which is unchecked with the bats flying. Look at the floor which is fully ferny floor. So these things confirm the solitude of the house. The poem highlights the two worlds. The first is traveler, means the living, means human, and the second is dead. One is living, one is dead. That is the listener, means ghost. The dead is means ghost. The poem basically tells us that the living and the dead are in separate world. Actually, living and the dead people lives in a separate world. Okay, and there is no way that dead will come to our life and we the living will go to the dead's life. Indirectly, the poem tells us that a change is must. Nothing will be with you forever, and this time is valuable. Everything needs a change. There is nothing that will stay with you forever. Everything will go at a time. So the poem also teaches us to keep any promise which we make. Whatever promise we are making to someone, we should also fulfill the promise. That is the message of the poem. So I hope that you have understood the poem very well. Thank you and have a nice day.